Hi, I'm Drew Williamson. I'm a photographer and a collaborative storyteller. And in about 2010, I started working on projects with refugees and genocide survivors and Holocaust survivors. And it's a storytelling project. I photograph objects that people carry with them on their long journey fleeing their homelands. It's about diaspora. And so I take pictures of objects that they've carried that are important, and I ask the participant to write directly on the photograph about that object. And people write in whatever language they want to write in, they draw, they paint, but it's about storytelling. And it's pretty powerful. And so in the beginning of 2023, I started doing a new project with Portland's Unhoused community. And it's kind of the same process. I ask people about what they carry with them, and I take a picture of those objects, and then I go away, I make a print, and then I return it to the participant, and I ask people to just write whatever they want to write on the photographs. And the stories are powerful, they're human, they're revealing, and at some point, probably in the summer of 2025, we'll have a few exhibits. And the exhibits will be the collection of all the work that I've been working on for the last 2 years. And we'll have a few panel discussions, maybe some poetry readings, and members of the community to talk. And I think the biggest takeaway is that if a few circumstances changed in any of our lives, we might find ourselves homeless.
So this is the story from Bear. It says, "Hello, I'm Bear. I'm a Nova Scotia duck tolling retriever. I'm also my mama's service dog in training. I'm a year old now, and I have many fans now. I have many fans in both Vancouver, Washington, and Portland, Oregon. I follow my mama and papa around all over Washington as I make sure my mama is able to stay calm and sit down when she gets her dizzy spells. My mama is from Flint, Michigan, and she goes by the name of Maya or Fox. My daddy is from Vancouver, Washington, and he goes by the name of Joe or Joey Two-Tones. They met before I was born at the Recovery Cafe in 2017, and they became close friends until my mama's ex-boyfriend raped and then threw a glass mason jar at her head on her birthday. That's what drove my mama to attempt suicide. My daddy stopped her and they started their lives together. Mama's ex-boyfriend threatened her and daddy's life, and that's what started their homeless cycle due to clearing their names. My daddy found me for mama on Craigslist, and since then, me and my mama are rarely separated. We currently sleep in a van, and I get to be near mama while daddy works. Then me and mama writes her fictional story about a dystopian world where I let her pick up the pen, and when I let her pick up the pen and sheet of paper. Good news though. Daddy is paying for a motorhome and a spot for it in an RV park, so the homeless cycle will end soon. That and my mama and daddy will be getting officially married soon. I've seen daddy looking at rings, and they're talking about this year. I'm so excited. Tail wags. Mama and daddy are happy. Yay! So this is a little message that I wrote for a lot of the people suffering with drug and alcohol issues out here on the streets. This is Bear's daddy. I struggled with drug addiction for 12 years. I've been sober now for 14 years. It was hard, but with good people and a great wife, you too can succeed. It will not be easy, but you too can have a good life. We love all of you and wish you all a happy and successful life. I hope this message serves you well on your road to success. God bless.
This is Bear's mama. I have fought homelessness for over 11 years now, and many of it is due to job loss. As you read through Bear's story and Bear's writing, it is easy. Life is not easy, but it is livable, even through depression. Stay strong, you got this.
Keep on keeping on.
Hi, my name is George McCarthy, and I have put together this picture of my compass and the things that I've written about it because it is something I always carry with me. It's something that's very important to me. More than pretty much anything, I always make sure I have it. I wanted to write something about it, but I couldn't think of one thing, so I wrote 5 short paragraphs to describe reasons why I carry it with me. I think of my grandfather, who gave me my first compass, and how I have a piece of him when I carry one. I am reminded of the importance of direction, as well as having a means of finding it. I love simple machines that I can understand and make my life easier. It's a part of my history and my childhood, one of the reasons I carry this tradition. It deconstructs direction of my terrestrial and places it in my hand so I can understand. These are among the reasons why I carry it, why I had it with me my whole life, and why it's just important to have it, even though I don't need to use it all the time. It's reassuring having it, and I can't explain it. I know it's there if I need it, and it's something less to worry about, and something that's just a part of what I carry and what I have.
My name's Kelly, K-E-L-L-Y, last name Clendenin. Oh, my full name is Kelly Scott Clendenin. And I'm actually 53 years old. I'm from Maryland originally. And I'm a recovering heroin addict, opiate addict, whatever you want to call it. And I spent 20 years of my life struggling and grappling with heroin addiction. And eventually, I had drifted out to the West Coast in 2012. Between 2012 and 2015, I was on the streets of Seattle, and I wound up down here in Portland. I overdosed on fentanyl in 2015 for a third and final time, and I landed in the hospital. My family came out here and basically rescued me, and that was 8 years ago. I completed drug treatment. I've been clean ever since. I still smoke weed in the evenings, but I don't drink and I don't do meth or heroin or anything like that anymore. My life is way better. I graduated from Portland State University last year in 2023 as a history major, the BS in history at PSU. And currently I'm living in Northwest Portland. I'm going to grad school at the University of Oregon's Portland campus, but where Cascadia used to be in Northeast. And I live in Northwest, and my life is changed by leaps and bounds. And today I'm just really into giving back to the same community that helped me when I was struggling. In 2019, I was released from Columbia River, where I did a year for a property crime charge that I committed when I was on the streets in 2013.
So I had to go to prison in Columbia River. And then, so in 2019, in the winter of 2019, around this time actually, in November of 2019, I was released to the streets. And I had to go through a program called Bridges of Change, a work release program, and then a halfway house called Bridges of Change. And it was very important for me to get involved with a church, a local church or organization. Didn't have to be a church, but some positive force in the community where I could volunteer my time and give back. And so I found First Unitarian Church in 2019, and I began doing homeless outreach on the streets, just really basic stuff, handing out water, that sort of thing. And I was in college and at PSU, and I was in my senior year at PSU in 2023, and I had to pick a project for my senior capstone. And someone told me about a woman named Dana Buell at First Unitarian who also had time to give to a project. She was looking to implement a new project, helping the homeless at First Unitarian. And so Dana and I started working together in 2023 to begin work for the shower project, 13 Salmon Shower Project. We received some grants, and we planned for about a year, and we opened our doors in January of 2024. And for me, it's just a way of giving back to people like me, who were like me on the streets when I was on the streets. I'm just so grateful for being given the opportunity to have lived through several overdoses and a life on the streets, that I want to give back. That I feel a responsibility to give back, because a lot of the people that I met that were like me didn't have family like I did to help them out and send them to treatment and buy them clothes and food and that sort of thing. So I feel like I was given every advantage. So I just wanted to give back. Having this necklace is hugely important to me. It's very significant. My grandparents were a very positive force in my life before things got ugly, before I entered into the path of addiction. They're no longer with us today, but they still are, because I have this, and I have them in my heart and in my head, and I have this as my most prized possession. Doesn't matter how valuable it is monetarily, to me it's priceless, and it represents the love that that my family and I have shared, and that they instilled with me. They instilled in me, with the love that they instilled in me. And it's just very significant that they would give me something like that important. I know that this is, my grandparents were really important to my mom, and for her to give this to me was a big deal. It really told me I was on the right path. This is basically about the journey, a full circle journey that I made, starting in Maryland and working my way around to Portland. And I'll begin at the beginning. The first section is called The Age of Innocence. My journey began in Maryland, in the suburbs of Baltimore, where my little sister Jessica and I were showered with much love by our small but tight-knit family. My grandparents were a hugely positive influence on us. My grandmother, Helen, a lifelong school teacher, gave this gold necklace to our grandfather, Bill, for their 50th wedding anniversary. It symbolizes the love they shared for the majority of their long lives. It also reminds me of the innocence of my youth, before things in my life turned ugly. I love them very, very much. The next section is called Troubled Waters. Once I hit puberty, the problems started. At 12, I started liking girls, smoking pot, and tripping on acid. My grades in school plummeted, and I was sent by my parents to my first rehab at age 14. It was the first of what would be many failed attempts at getting clean. The next section is called Over the Edge. At age 30, my addiction issues took a turn for the worse. Like millions of others during this period, in the 1990s in America, I got hooked on pain pills, and when they ran out, I began sniffing heroin. Then I began using needles, which began a 15-year odyssey that included 3 stints in prisons in 3 different states. My life was in shambles, and I burned all of my bridges with my family because I had stolen from them to feed my habit. The next section is called Throwing in the Towel. One day in 2012, I decided to leave Baltimore, hop on Amtrak, and move to Seattle, where I could escape my problems and live life off the grid. This was the first time I experienced true homelessness. I lived on the streets around the Pike Place Market, hustling to get by, and as terrible as it was often exciting, and I formed bonds with many of the people that I met on the streets. The next section is called Portland. Eventually, I drifted down to Portland, where I spent 3 more years grappling with my addiction, living on the streets, out of touch with my family. And as cutthroat as it was, the vibe here in Portland was more chill than in Seattle. I met some amazing, kind, intelligent people on the streets. But life was hell, and eventually I overdosed on fentanyl and landed myself in the hospital. My mother flew in from Maryland and rescued me off the streets, and I entered treatment, and it finally stuck. And then the last section is called Rebirth. Today I have almost 9 years clean and sober. And for my second anniversary, my mom gave me my grandfather's necklace, which was a huge deal for me. It symbolizes the trust I earned back from my family and the love that we all share. Today it's my most cherished item. In 2023, I somehow graduated from Portland State, and in 2025, I'm set to graduate with a master's from the University of Oregon. Never in a million years did I think any of this would be possible. If I can do it, anyone can. Today, I'm on a mission to give back to the same community here in Portland that helped me when I was at my worst. Never give up.
I'm in my last year of grad school at the University of Oregon. I'm a multimedia journalism major, and so for my terminal project, or what we call on the East Coast a thesis, I decided that I wanted to go to Grants Pass because there was a huge Supreme Court decision this past year that was handed down in June and about the Eighth Amendment and what's considered cruel and unusual punishment. Is it should be okay for the city to push people out that are camping out in their public parks without providing them with any other shelter space or any beds anywhere else. And that's what they've been doing. So they just basically got free license to continue with that and push people out. And that sucks. But in the midst of all that, there's some people down there that are locals that are doing some really important work, trying to establish, well, not trying, but they have established a new shelter down there, which is a really big deal for Grants Pass because for years they were shot down every time they tried to start a shelter, form a new shelter. Every year they said, no way, no way, no way. So finally this past year they received a 7-0 approval from the city council to build this shelter called Mint that's run by Cassie Leach. So I decided I wanted to go down there and follow Cassie around and see her outreach workers in action. I saw Riverside Park. I went to this new cooling shelter that they have and where they're getting ready to build these new tiny homes for folks. And it was a wonderful experience. They're doing some really good work down there. And I thought it was good I want to report on the stories of people that are locals in the community who are trying to do something to confront these crises that we're experiencing. The affordable housing and fentanyl crises are killing people, literally, and all over the place, and especially here in Oregon. So I wanted to go down and report on something that wasn't quite as doom and gloom. That was, in this case, a really heartwarming story about people coming together in their community to provide solutions rather than push people out.
And tell me,
I'm from New York originally. I came out west about 10 years ago. Fished on the ocean, fished in the Bering Sea, did land facilities in Alaska, just making food. And I've been out here for 10, 15 years and just having adventures. Been in Portland about 10 years. Been out west about 15. Since June or July, I've been housed kind of in TPI projects except for December, which is a bit of a story in its own right. And prior to that, I was on a doorstep. just had my own kind of space. The people there knew I was there and just kept it clean, and it that goes a long way. Just be respectful of everything else around you, and just an unpaid security card. Cards are beautiful because they're a universal language. At my most beautiful, I carry cards and books, but books are heavy. On a more intimate level, I carry cards because they remind me of my friend and sister Bree. Me and her are like twins, and I miss her deeply. I carried a copy of The Creative Act by Rick Rubin with me when I had a backpack, and I carry my phone, and I carry stories. On a more sprawling level, I think me and everybody else in the universe carries stories inside them, and it's each individual's life, work, and privilege to tell their stories and explore the universes outside and inside themselves. I used to play cards, and I'll play cards again tomorrow night. Home is probably self-exploration. I think the more it's definitely in one religious book, and I've kind of discovered it within myself as well. But we're travelers. We're time travelers, time and space, and to the best way to contact external worlds is to explore the internal world inside oneself. And you can, in a more general way, you can go to different cultures and explore that, and that's kind of home. Wherever that resonates within yourself and you can identify that thing, that's home to me.
I'm Simca Ridgecrane Johnson, and this past year has been my year of winning the homeless lottery. I got into SRO and then even upgraded to a studio apartment with my own toilet. And that story came out in a little bit of words that might be poetic when Jim talked to us about pictures of our belongings, the things I carry. And what I had to say about the things I carry is how much loss. Lost wallets, keys, home. The chain is not enough. But 12th year, finally, a key, fob, for a lease in my name. When I first came here 12 years ago and started sleeping outside this colonnade with some acquaintances and friends that were the remnants of the Occupy Portland movement, we come inside and learn that this building and the county commission building across the street have sort of a shared powerlessness, except they can spend money. And I've seen different budget reports and reviews of budgets and analysis, and amounts of money grow, but I haven't seen a matching growth in solutions for the people I see and eat with at Blanchet House and other places. And I think part of that is because as citizens, we have so much going on in our lives that we don't really have enough awareness of what's going on and not going on with these two power structures, the city, the county, that are supposedly spending our money to do help on our behalf. Quite an experience with ups and downs, being a fellow neighbor with homeless people and sleeping outside. A lot of times we hear the phrasing that you too could be the next homeless person if you just have a little financial glitch. But that doesn't really do justice to the people who have had lifelong or sudden new struggles with severe mental illness or something other than just a financial glitch that has kept them what they like to call chronically homeless, as I was for years. And so as homeless people, we live beside some of the most extreme cases that everyone has a little bit of fear about. But we also have other people who are sometimes seem to be more compassionate and softer than the average person that's had a successful life indoors. And it's very questionable how well the systems, organizations, nonprofits we set up to solve homelessness or end homelessness are really able to address the differences among us. And so, we've all heard the phrase "school of hard knocks," and we now know there's, a bigger number of thousands, more thousands of homeless and unhoused people than we thought there were, and many of them have graduate degrees from the School of Hard Knocks. And we learn different things about central city concern or transition projects, and who's having success and not having success at helping people. And the most comfortable places are the ones that aren't burdened with like the hardest work of getting you into housing. So as I've become what the system will tell you is a success story, which is really just like winning the lottery is a success story. It's not so much anything I did except having some moments of high function and connecting with people who got lucky with the applications we submitted. I've learned that I really have compassion for the people I still eat lunch with at Blanchet who are just, there's really not another phrase that's honest except falling through the cracks. There are a lot of cracks, and if we want to narrow or eliminate those cracks, we have to be essentially fearless to ask questions to our elected leaders and the program administrators about how they're going to be able to, what we can do to help more people at the best price. People are really concerned about taxation now in Portland, and even as a person who's benefiting, I sometimes wonder if we're making the best win when we have one person who's in a $2,000 per month converted sort of hotel room and another person who's in a $100 a month dry cabin. Are we really going to be able to reach everyone we need to? So talk to your elected officials, understand that different homeless people have different visions of solutions, and just keep the pressure, the positive energy going to demand that here in Portland and everywhere in our country, we do better as we've seen other societies do around the world.
The cutting board is something that I've held on to for the last, forever. But the importance of it really was in the last 8 years. I was houseless, homeless, and even though I gave away everything I owned, I literally left my life on the streets of Portland, here, there, and everywhere. I held on to a few things that were sacred and really personal to me. A few pictures, some knickknacks, and the cutting board. And no matter where I lived while I was homeless, the cutting board was always packed away. And I needed it to stay safe, and I needed it to not be stolen or set on fire or just whatever, things that befall people when they live without walls. But I never wanted to live my life like a homeless person. I never wanted to have this idea of prescribing myself to this lifestyle. I always lived as though I just lived off grid. I lived in a large tent. I had a couch. I had a bed. I had knickknacks displayed. I had my cutting board out at that time, so I could use it to cut on. And I cooked my meals still. I prepared food. I mean, I lived as though I lived inside, just outside. Again, living off grid, not being technically homeless. But when I lost my husband 2 years ago, I realized that all the safety that I had been afforded as a woman being homeless was gone, and it became apparent to me that I really needed to seek housing on a serious level. One of the outreach workers had told me that Section 8 was going to open their program back up for 2,000 recipients and that I should, sign up for it. So I did. And I actually won. one of the 2,000 slots. I was awarded my letter, and instead of having to wait years to use the letter, like some people do, I was fast-tracked and afforded the letter quickly. So from the time that I was awarded to the time that I got housing was 3 months. I did the work myself to find the place, to secure the deals, to come up with deposits, and I'm proud of me for all that. And I'm proud to say that my cutting board now hangs on the wall in my kitchen again. So a cutting board hung on kitchen walls, never being used but admired. As a child, my mom had this board on every kitchen wall since I can remember. The image from a Persian love poem shows a woman pouring drink for a man. When I received the board after her death, I took to using the board as it is intended, its desire. Many years this cutting board has been with me, fulfilling its promise and aesthetic, allowing me to ponder all a kitchen holds. Along with this board, every kitchen on the fridge sat a white piggy bank with colorful flowers on its side and a happy face, which I kind of drew. On the stove sat 2 figurines, hand-carved wood from Russia of a man and a woman. I kind of tried to replicate that, till we lost one behind a stove, never to be found. The kitchen held the love, secrets, hopes, and meals as a family. My mother was Jewish from Canada, her family from Russia. I, born in Toronto, Canada, grew up in New York City till I was 16. I left home to experience the world, only to find out when I became a parent how important the things seen as ritual are truly important. As with every place I've ever lived, I've always had a garden. This is no exception.
The green guy has been my friend for since I've been in combat. I was an Army nurse in the U.S. Army for 20 years, and I've had this green guy for 20 years now. He's been my personal friend. When I see battle scars on the battlefield and trauma and wounds from soldiers, I turn to my friend here while I can hold on to him and gain insight into my life and help me be able to be stronger and be able to take care of the soldiers that are injured and everything. The Green Monster also helps me be part of stronger confidence in myself, where I'm able to squeeze him and gain strength. It helps me with my PTSD, helps me be able to work with my bipolar. Out in the street roots, I always have him with me every day because he shows me that we can get out here and sell papers, when I'm discouraged. When people don't buy the paper, he always provides a smile on his face, and that brings joy to my heart. Now I'm going to read what I wrote about Gumby. This is the great friend who I have in combat and peace. With me when I was homeless in Troutdale, Oregon, when I was sad or depressed, I turned to my only friend. He always had a smile on his face. My green friend served 2 tours Iraq and 1 Afghanistan, as an Army nurse for the country. The stuffed animal serves multiple purposes. He waves at me when I am sad or depressed or just having a bad day or lonely. I love the red eyes on his face. He is so much full of positive energy. He is with me when I sell street route papers. Hello, my green friend. You are a special keepsake in my life. I wish I could share him with somebody, but I keep it yours, mine forever. Green symbolizes peace. I try to develop peace in my life and share an abundance of joy in all I do. I am so grateful what my higher power has given me.
When Ricky told me that his new puppy Roswell had chewed off the arms of Ricky's green friend, I knew that we had to do something about it. And so I went on eBay and I found another Gumby. And I ordered it, and then I contacted textile artist Bonnie Meltzer, told her the situation. She was up for the task, and she did some repairs.
Hi, I'm Bonnie Meltzer, and I have this wonderful project. I'm a fiber artist and sculptor, and I need to repair this Gumby for Ricky Wagner. And this is his very special Gumby that has been with him, and I'm going to take the arms of this new Gumby and replace them. He's going to have a little surgery, but I'm also an expert in visible mending, which means the stitches show, so they can be quite decorative or just visible in a subtle way. So I'm going to take the arms off of this Gumby and put him on this very favorite one, and everybody's going to be happy, and I'm going to have a good time doing it. I had to take the arms off of the new Gumby, and I couldn't get inside. There were no seam allowances. You know what that means? You need an edge to sew on, otherwise it falls apart. So the arms are a tiny bit shorter, but I sewed the arms on in not the most beautiful stitches ever. And then, but when I started, you start with a needle with a big long thing of very heavy thread, and I sewed it onto one arm, went through his little body, and then used it to sew on the other arm. And that's how they made dolls. I have a little doll who's the elastic band that was holding the two arms together after 70 years has finally broken. So I'm going to mend that. But so I knew about connecting those two arms together so they're not falling off. And then I took another thread and went down, sewed the stitches around in the other direction. But they didn't look gorgeous. I mean, I couldn't do gorgeous stitching because I couldn't get anywhere. And that's why we have this little decorative. And isn't that a gorgeous little color? I actually had that color. I forget. So it's kind of luminescent. And this is a paint that is actually used as a glue. So some people use it for beads and other kind. And I didn't think you'd want beads on this. Probably not. Anyway, so it has a little, and I also, this was on top there, and I don't know if that's something he wants or not, but I thought it was actually, can you see it? It's kind of cute.
Yeah.
I didn't know Gumby had hair.
Right. And if we need to give him a haircut,
And
we
if you
can,
need it,
or
you can,
not.
and he can have a little haircut. But this is pretty, pretty sturdy, and this is why he likes this one rather than the other one.
I'm Ricky Wagner, and I want to thank Bonnie Meltzer for helping me get my Gumby back to the working order again. He was chewed off by my dog Roswell, and I just thankful for all you do, Bonnie, in helping me get things back to normal. He was with me in Afghanistan, and thank you for all you do, and most great.
We're good to go.
I'm Matt Love. I'm the author of the Old Crow Book Club, and here's my story. In the spring of 2021, I moved to Portland to care for my father. Later, I began walking the Selwood neighborhood where we lived. I met some of the local homeless people. One of them was Mark, a man in his late 50s, and we became friends, bonding over our mutual love of books. In all my years, I have never met a more prodigious reader or astute commentator on literature. Mark and I founded the Old Crow Book Club with several other homeless people, set up a salon sidewalk, and began discussing books, often with belts of Old Crow, a rot gut whiskey. These were the best conversations about literature I've ever had. In due course, I tried to get Mark into housing, and it proved the most frustrating experience of my Oregon life, and not because of anything Mark did or didn't do. It was a maze of molasses bureaucracies, and I chronicled this story on a Substack newsletter called The New American Diaspora. 2 years later, I published a fuller account in a book called The Old Crow Book Club and distributed almost exclusively via street libraries in Portland. This novel method led me to discover the most rewarding readership of my writing career and eventually led to Mark getting into housing.
This is Donnie's idea. It's just like, play that one.
Okay, I'm finally graduating. I'm happy to announce I'm graduating on June the 16th, next month, on Monday at 4 down in Eugene. I'm super excited. I'm very happy. My family's flying in from out of town, and they're going to be there to see me walk. So yeah, I'm just really happy and super grateful for all the people that helped me get this far.
Now I'm just improvising. So I gotta tell you guys. I didn't go to my guitar lesson this morning, so
Social interruption. What is it?